This is Strictly Politics, and this very special anniversary edition, we have some gentlemen in the house. We have Barrister Abubakar Yusufu, who is the Chairman, League of Patriotic Lawyers. We also have Honorable Jide Jimo, who is the Chairman, House of Representative Committee on Urban Development. Let's look at, okay, you are, okay, let me turn to you, Barrister Yusufu. Just recently, the Water Resources Control Bill became very controversial, and a lot of people have argued that, I mean, this is largely a distraction and a contradiction of the clamor of many Nigerians before now. But eventually, just on Tuesday, the House of Representatives actually pulled down the bill, more or less, asking that it should go back and follow due process. Yeah. I don't want to use their exact words now. Yeah. But there are people who think that this is just a subtle way to respond to the controversy, to say, look, keep this thing aside if it's creating so much problem in the country.
I think the proposed bill is not only dodgy, it's diversionary, and it's intended again to further, widen the chasm that is existing in the country. Don't forget that in the 8th Assembly, something of this nature was introduced, and it was killed at its inception. So I think the National Water Resources Bill will also suffer the violent hammer of dismissal when it comes to the discussion. Although I've been told that the House Committee on Business and Business and Laws is saying that it will not be subject to public debate hearing and all that, which is public hearing, which I think is unusual, since it has been done in the 8th Assembly. That was a bill that was killed in the 8th. It's a kind of indirect way of taking powers from the governors, one, and is a reformed or a deformed form of RUGA. And I think people really sponsor these things. If you see the main sponsor, the main man that introduced this bill is from Katsina State. That's why we think that people are not really marketing the president very well, and it becomes more suspicious.
Well, in as much as it doesn't matter. Yeah. A legislator is supposed to sponsor bills. So my concern will be, what could be the motive? I mean, not just about the man, but whoever it is.
No matter how well intended a bill is, a part can never be bigger than the whole.
Exactly.
We have numbers in the National Assembly, 360 plus 109. Add it together, 4 and something.
Yes.
Compare with the larger population of 200 million people.
Yes.
If 200 million people are saying no to a bill, accept it in total. That is number one. Number two, the bill that we are referring to in the 8th Assembly is quite different from this bill. The bill you are referring to in the 8th Assembly was meant for Water Resources Amendment Bill. This one is Water Resources Control Bill. Something has been added.
The identity has changed.
The identity has changed. And if before you put that one to consideration, it has to be gazetted and put into the journal of the National Assembly.
Let me ask you
when
this.
that has been considered, there should be first reading, there should be second reading, where it's going to be committed to committee for public hearing. If you fail to do that, Nigeria will throw it out. And if you don't go by the public, court will throw it out.
But isn't this to say that there's some kind of system failure in the National Assembly? Because how did that bill that hasn't passed through the proper procedure, how did it get onto the other paper?
I wouldn't want to preempt or suspect anybody, whether there is foul play or not. By the time we get to the nitty-gritty, we will know the true color of the whole thing.
Okay, you have seen the bill. You are also a member of that
Even in the 8th Assembly, I was a member of Water Resources Committee. This one again, this 9th Assembly, I'm also a member.
Oh, okay, good.
And in the 8th Assembly, I oppose it vehemently. If you are bringing the same bill, allow people to make contribution. The 8th Assembly can never be subsumed by 9th Assembly because they have equal power. Allow the 8th Assembly to do its own diligence
And the 9th Assembly.
and allow the 9th Assembly to be involved because there are so many number of members who are not in the 8th Assembly.
And who are
and they are not members now. Allow them to make contribution. We are not hiding anything. And I want to give kudos to the Speaker. When this argument came up, he actually listened to the pros and cons. At the end of the day, he said, rules, please take note. Represent this bill for consideration. Simple.
Okay,
As
I
solicitor.
know that two things. I know that in the National Assembly, they talk about lobbying and trying to convince your colleagues to support you. What about before this process is done all over again? That is sufficient.
What people are saying is that this bill has to do with usurpation of power.
Yes, I know.
We are talking about the evolution of power. Why do you want to take the power from the local and the state and hand to the national? It's never done anywhere.
Exactly. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that that's the big because I remember very vividly the alarm that was raised by the Benue State Governor, Governor Tom, who said that you're looking at 4 or 5 kilometers or thereabouts from the sea is as part of,
No, they are talking. This bill is talking about surface and underground water.
Exactly. So
control.
So
yes.
But my argument,
exactly.
Mr. Yusufu, is that, or my fear, is that in the course of this time that the bill is now going to go back and then come back, eventually. I mean, is that don't we stand the risk of some lobbying and some backdoor events and the bill just comes and then before we say
let me quickly say this, that bill as proposed will be affecting about 20 states and we have 36 states in Nigeria.
36.
20 is definitely bigger than 16, except we want to go for another mathematical inexactitude. So the bill will definitely meet opposition, not only from the civil rights groups, even from, patriotic, members like this and all that. So I will give kudos to Otom. So far, Otom is the only voice that has spoken out. The other governors are mute, or maybe they are still studying the situation. So I took my heart for Otom, and I believe that many Otoms will still come to the scene. And also my honorable member who is participating in this debate. By the time he gets back, he has to be able to tell the people how we feel. I don't agree with the man in Rules committee that it was discussed before. It's tantamount to saying that I would like him to leave him minister of China, who was said to have had a dagger concealed in his heart, yet honey dripping from his lips. I think there's something ominous. There's something funny, and it should be so.
Just as we round up, sir. Yeah. One of the things that I've noticed about this assembly is that, no doubt, they're working very closely with the executive, and it looks like it's quite smooth. And some of us think that it's good for the nation. Without begging the question, isn't it also a negative trend, particularly when it has to do with things like this that we have talked about, for example? If the executive, for example, was interested in this bill, it will pass because of the cooperation and understanding between the two arms of government.
Let me tell you, you cannot run a government with one leg. It starts to be two-legged, executive arm and legislative arms. Where they are making mistakes, we have to correct them. Where we are making mistakes, they are also to correct them. The general interest, the general public should be the utmost important to every one of us, not individual interests.
We have to leave it there. Barrister Yusufu Abubakar, the chairman, League of Patriotic Lawyers. Thank you very much for being here today. We really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
And of course, Barrister Honorable Jide Jimo, the chairman, House Committee on Urban Development. Thank you very much for being here. We really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll take a short break, and the show will be back for us to round up the show.